Hi, hello, it's me Simran, and it's been a long time since I've made a college video. I'm excited to be back and making this video today because I have a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts I'm ready to share with you guys. To give some context, if you're new to my channel, my name is Simran. I am 21 years old and I graduated college last year. I went to UC Santa Cruz and got a bachelor's of science in cognitive science, and I graduated in 3 years. I have tons of videos all about my college experience all up on my channel, and now I've been making videos about my post-grad life and all things of that sort, and it's been a ton of fun. I've been planning on making this video since literally I was second year in college and deciding whether or not I wanted to graduate early. So now that it's done and I'm done with college, I felt like now was a good time to reflect and share my thoughts and experiences overall. Because I am talking about so much in this video, I thought it would be helpful to do a little bit of a breakdown of what exactly I'll be covering in this video. First, I'm going to start off talking about my experiences and kind of how I did it with coming into college with no AP credit and no plans to graduate early. Then I'll be talking about summer just because I do have some specific summer related advice. Then I'll be talking about the impacts overall of like graduating early, socially, mentally, educationally, like is it worth it, that type of stuff. And then I'll wrap it up with final thoughts and advice. There is also going to be timestamps on this video that are going to go in more detail because I do talk about other stuff as well, but this is kind of the rough gist of everything. So with that being said, let's get started. Getting into kind of how I graduate early, because I think it's good background knowledge as what my experience was, especially as I talk about like the pros and cons, and I feel like everyone's in different situations. For me, going into college, I think I had 1 class of AP credit total. That's it. So I did not have anything going into it. That kind of made it, I think, a little bit more packed and a little bit more intense than if you were to go in with a couple classes of AP credit to begin with. The first 2 quarters, I was kind of following a 4-year plan, so I just took as many units as you normally take. But my 3rd quarter, I ended up taking as many as you could without getting approved for more units, which I regretted because I'd end up taking 2 really hard classes together, and it was a really intense, terrible quarter. The summer you can take unlimited units, so I didn't have to get approved. But going forward in the fall, I got approved to take more units. I think it was up to 25 or 27. Don't fully remember. But I started to be really kind of strategic about the classes I would take. So I would try to take, if I'm taking 1 or 2 hard classes, the rest be super easy, or like have like 2 GEs, 1 hard class, and 1 major required class or something of that sort. And I would make sure to look into professor reviews as well as class reviews. If a class is known on Reddit or known overall in your major to be hard, that would be my 1 hard class. I would not take any other hard classes with it. And I tried to take kind of medium difficulty and then like some super easy GE classes because I hadn't done my GEs. Or even sometimes I think towards the end, I was taking classes just for the units because I didn't have that 180 units needed to graduate. And so I was just taking whatever seemed easy and fun and had good reviews online. But the biggest thing is to make sure that there's that balance. And that first week in college, like that first week of the quarter, I would like analyze, okay, is this class going to be as easy as I thought it is? Does this seem doable? Does this seem balanceable? I'd also take some classes pass, no pass, kind of put some classes on back burner if I knew that they were going to be easy so I could focus on harder classes and making sure I was getting through those. GPA didn't always win, but I feel like that system kind of made it doable, or at least somewhat manageable. I did summer session twice, the first summer and the second summer. The first summer I did summer session through UCSC, and I completely regret that. I took way too many classes. I took, I think, 4 classes total, and 3 of them were really hard. So I don't know what I was thinking. And also I could have easily taken those classes at CC, at like a community college, and had them be easier and like a fraction of the price, but I was just really worried about transferring the credits, and I was just really in my head and had no idea what I was doing. Sorry, there's a plane going by. I would only take classes at UCSC or whatever school you're at if they are not offered somewhere else, or they're upper div classes, because I know for us, upper div classes you have to take at the school that you're at. And so what I did the second summer that I would recommend is I took 2 upper div classes that were for my major, filled major recs, and could not be taken anywhere else. And then I took 2 GE classes through a community college, a quarter system community college, so that it was easy to transfer over. And there were classes where I didn't have to need those recs anytime soon. Because the reason I was scared to take classes at CC the summer before was because I was told that sometimes transferring classes from CCs can take a while. It took 2 quarters total for the GE classes to transfer over, but they were like random classes, like they did not matter, so it didn't matter that they took a minute to transfer. But yeah, I think the second summer that was way smarter financially, and it was way easier because those GEs I checked, I read reviews, I looked into the college, looked into professors, and they were both super easy, and I was able to focus my energy on those upper divs instead. And in the end, I got like the same amount of units and same amount of like major recs done. So definitely recommend what I did the second summer. Also, if you have an easier quarter, you can take community college classes online, especially now after COVID. You can take community college classes online that are through a quarter system and have it be doing it at the same time as UCSC. So in the off chance you don't get approved for taking extra units, you can, you know, be taking your 15 to 17 units that you have to take for your major at UCSC and then just be taking a class at CC on your own time online and then just transfer it over, which also really helps. As much as I hate to say it, I think deciding where you're gonna go to college, whether you're gonna go to college or anything of that sort is kind of your first big financial decision you make as like a 17 or 18-year-old, which is absolutely insane to say because you're literally 17 years old deciding like whether you're gonna be in like tons of debt for the rest of your 20s or not, which is just like there's so much to unpack there, but that's how the system works right now. And I was not ready to come to terms to that when I was applying for colleges. I was paying in-state tuition for the first 3 years of my college, but there was no guarantee I was going to qualify for in-state for my 4th year, which is a whole other can of worms that talks about visas and stuff, which I'm not going to get into in this video. But if you're interested or would like to hear about it, I can answer any questions in the comments. And so that's kind of what pushed me to graduate early and kind of graduate before my 21st birthday. So I was guaranteed to pay that in-state tuition because I knew financially I couldn't afford that out-of-state tuition. I think mentally graduating early was pretty difficult on me in the way that it made me super anxious and I felt like I was in a rat race and I was like this close to losing. So it felt like the entire 3 years, especially the last year, I was in marathon mode of will I make it, will I make it, will I be able to do this thing, just because I knew that I didn't come in with a lot of AP credit, I didn't come in with anything kind of to help me or anything to fall back on. It was just like I either graduate early or I have tons of debt and have to figure that out later. And so I just constantly found myself nervous and I was constantly making schedules of like different options of, okay, if I don't get this class, will I still be able to graduate early? Okay, if I'm not able to do this, will this still let me graduate early? And so I think that wasn't really the best on me mentally, but I do think that's something to keep in mind. Another thing is that out of all my friends, all of my closest friends were not graduating early. They were staying for the 4th year. And I think that having that sense of like community or like having friends who are graduating early with you can be really helpful because you at least have someone to talk about with, or also like someone to go through the experiences with, like graduation and things of that sort, versus I was the only one from my friend group who was graduating last year. And so I did find walking and like doing that whole process to be a little isolating, if I'm being completely honest. And I think if I were to go back in time, the one thing I would do is try to look for a community. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who graduate early. So I'm sure that like I could have found friends who were also graduating early just so I could have that sense of community or also just not feel so alone through the process. And so if you are happen to be graduating early, I recommend trying to look for other people who are doing it as early as possible. I do feel like overall the quality of my education was lower than people who stay for all 4 years, but I don't know if you did a cost benefit analysis of like how much I paid versus how much they paid total, if it would equal to the same. I don't really feel like doing that math. If you want to do it, feel free to do it and compare, but I just feel like the biggest thing for me is I couldn't be as picky with the classes that filled the requirements I needed as others could. I was just trying to fill all my requirements for my major. I did have a minor that I ended up dropping, but my minor and then also my GEs, and so I constantly found myself kind of just taking classes because like shoot, this fills a requirement and it's available to me, and that's kind of what I would do. But I think there was times where there was really cool classes that, you know, didn't fill a requirement that would have helped me in my career or interested me overall that I wasn't able to take because it didn't fit in my schedule because my schedule was so packed together. And so an example of that was there was a UX design class that I think would have been really interesting. It was right when I was like understanding UX, but I wasn't like I was gonna say balls deep. That's not the term I was looking for, but before I was like fully immersed in it, and I really wanted to take it. However, I had a CS requirement that I needed to fill that quarter or else I wouldn't be able to fill it for graduation. And so I ended up taking that CS class that did not interest me as much and did not really have value to me post-grad over the UX class I was really interested in. And that happened a couple times to me that made me think, wow, I wish I could stay longer so I could take more of these fun classes I'm not gonna have a chance to take again. I think also your career plans can impact whether or not you choose to graduate early. For example, if you're pre-med and you really need to retain a lot of information and keep your GPA high, or like want to go to grad school, you might not want to graduate early. Since I was kind of condensing my classes and taking a higher course load than my peers, I did feel like some classes kind of had to take back burner. My grades weren't as high as they could have been, and I also did not retain as much information in those classes as other ones. But I also knew that grad school's always been like an idea in my head, but it's not been like a mandatory I need to do this and I want to go to this school. So I was able to take the back burner and let my GPA kind of fall a little because the career I was going into, my GPA wouldn't matter as much. Obviously, it's kind of like a gamble to make that decision because let's say, for example, tomorrow I wake up and I really want to go to grad school. I might regret the fact that I crammed those classes together and took a lower GPA because I might not get into my dream grad school. Another thing is remembering what you want to prioritize in your education. My priority has always been getting involved in campus and like networking and kind of those type of things over my overall education. It also made me question like why I was in school, because I was like, what I'm studying here I could learn online. Like the things I actually need to do the career I want to do, I can go learn online or do a boot camp to learn. So I kind of would sit in classes and be like, then why am I in these classes if this isn't what I'm here to learn? Like this is not going to help me get to the career I want to go to. And so I kind of had that reflection and realized that what I did like and what I did find useful was being involved in campus and being involved in projects and doing things of that sort. sort, which kind of made me question if I should have gone to a different school, but I was already 2 years into it. So my idea was, you know, I'll just graduate early and get as involved in campus as I can. I think if I had stayed a 4th year, I could have got even more involved in campus, maybe joined another research lab. I would have loved to get even more involved, but because I was limited on time and I was cramming so much together, I kind of felt like I was spreading myself thin and I couldn't do everything I wanted to, which kind of sucked. But I still feel like I got a really good experience overall, and like I was able to get involved in campus and was able to do some really cool projects. I really hope that that breakdown kind of explains how I feel about graduating early and whether or not it's worth it. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's just asking yourself, like, financially, does this make a lot of sense? Mentally, is it worth it? Like, will this be a lot of strain on me? And also midway through, let's say you've committed to graduating in 3 years, halfway through you realize that, you know, this is not as doable as you thought it could be. You can always reflect and choose to extend it and just graduate a quarter early or not graduate early, or just see what works for you. I think my 2 biggest pieces of advice for if you are doing this is to, 1, make yourself a plan as early as possible. I decided to graduate early my 2nd quarter in college. That's kind of when I first started dabbling with the idea. I immediately went to my college advisor and told her, and we kind of talked about it and we made kind of 3-year plan accordingly. And then I went to my major advisor and did the same thing. And I honestly went to my college and major advisor like probably once a quarter, which is really often. I don't know anyone else who went that often, but it gave me a lot of reassurance, and it kind of, I liked that mental check-in. I'm also a huge planner, so I liked having a schedule and having something to follow, and I think that's the only reason I was able to do it. So doing those check-ins really helped me, and then also having those schedules. And I believe I do have a Notion template, and within my Notion template there is the schedule that I use. I just had a Notion page with like a schedule of like what classes and what requirements I had, and I was able to like plan out the quarters. So I'll link that down below along with my Notion video if you want to check that out, because that's what kind of got me through it, honestly, having that page. I feel like overall I'm kind of content with the fact I graduate early. I think if I could go back in time and change one thing, I would have stayed for 1 quarter. So instead of graduating in spring, I would have graduated in December, just because I think that that extra 6 months of time of like having that summer and that extra quarter would have given me some breathing room. And also, since I kind of finished online versus finishing in person in the fall, I had like an unfinished feeling to it, which I didn't love. But you know, everything happens for a reason. If you guys have any more questions, be sure to leave them down below. If you have any other videos you'd like to see from me, college related, uncollege related, post-grad related, anything of that sort, let me know. I do want to make more post-grad videos because I feel like as it's almost been a year post-grad, I kind of finally have thoughts and things I can share about it. But yeah, be sure to talk down below. If you graduated early or didn't graduate early, we can talk about it down below. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon with another one. Bye!